What's going on, folks? I can't explain to you my love-hate relationship with the Philadelphia Phillies. I've been dealing with the same bullshit that they've been putting us through for 4 years. When it comes to the playoffs and when it comes to the pressure being high and then when the pressure gets going, this team never shows its balls. This team never shows guts. This team never deserves glory because they pussy out in the very end when it comes to the playoffs. Their bats go completely cold. So cold, in fact, that I can literally freeze my cup of coffee just by dipping one of their bats into it. When it comes to the Philadelphia Phillies, I can tell you, out of all the 4 years that I've actually really gotten into this team and started understanding the idea of baseball, like the fundamentals of baseball. By the way, baseball is a pretty boring sport in my opinion. Hold on a second. Can't have a Phillies video without a Phillies hat. That's better. Now, baseball is kind of a boring sport in my opinion. There's not a lot of to it. There's not a lot of things to it. You hit the ball and you try to get on base and you run first, second, third, and fourth base, and you get home. A lot of times nowadays, baseball is like a home run derby these days. Almost every single game you watch, everybody's just trying to hit the ball out of the park. But I'm not gonna. I digress. I'm not gonna go on a rant about baseball right now. Baseball, I think, used to be a lot more fun to watch back in the day. But I digress. Phillies. When it comes to this team, okay, we're going to go from 2022 all the way to 2025 when it comes to this baseball team. I'm going to tell you every single time that this team had our balls in a vice grip. They had our souls pulled in, and we were in it for this team to win it, and we were supporting this team. We had this team's back. We were watching them. We had our eyes on this team to watch them win the prize. Our eyes were on the prize as well as this team. Well, apparently, supposedly. Until they showed us that they are not made of championship material. They were never made of championship material. They probably will never be made of championship material. Mind you, these people on the baseball, you got Alec Bohm, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, and Bryce Harper. Did I already say that name too? See, my mind is so frustrated right now that I can't even keep track of the players. But you have other players, such as Brian Bader, who is on this team, who is only able to get you the 2 home runs in the first game against the Dodgers. Mind you, the third game is going to be happening tonight. If you don't already watch this video, if they probably already lost, you'll know what the answer is. But I don't see this team beating the Dodgers this year. I think they're going to get swept, but I digress. Starting back in 2022, this Philadelphia Phillies team was being counted out everywhere. As you may know, as a Phillies fan, the September collapse was a common occurrence back then, over these past few years, right? Since 2021 and beyond, right? 2021 and back before then. Because mind you, this team went on an 11-year playoff drought. Since 2009, 2010, this team hasn't been in the playoffs. Then in 2022, magically, the Phillies somehow find their way in a wild card spot. How did they do that? They didn't. The Brewers choked. That's how the Phillies wound up in the wild card spot. They wound up in the last possible wild card spot by beating out the Astros because the Brewers gave them that spot by choking like a choker. Now, when it comes to how the Phillies got to the World Series, they absolutely earned their opportunity. They beat the Dodgers, they beat the Padres, they beat I believe they beat the Marlins and the Braves to get there. I can't remember. It was 4 years ago, and I am not going to look back and watch all the other playoff games that I saw this Phillies team play. I am not going to put myself all through that torture. I'd rather be in Guantanamo Bay getting waterboarded by hot sauce. So the Philadelphia Phillies find their way to the World Series going up against the Astros. Now, a lot of people were counting them out because the Astros are the better team. But mind you, we were 2 games ahead of the Astros. Right? We were 2-0 against the Astros. Now, the Astros were able to beat us, and in one of those games, the Astros got the first ever World Series no-hitter in baseball history. Imagine that, against the Philadelphia Phillies of all teams. Why us? Why always us? But the Philadelphia Phillies fought hard. They went from being absolutely loser status to underdog status. Now, we had more respect for them, even though they lost in the World Series. But the trend that started all this is the bats went cold in the last 2 games. The next year, 2023, this Phillies team wasn't much better, but we had Trey Turner. And knowing the Phillies fans, these Phillies fans are not like Eagles fans. Eagles fans will tell you to go fuck yourself and shove 10 pounds of crack up your ass when you sit there and suck on the field. We do not like suckers, and we don't like frauds. Similar to what the Phillies are right now, but I digress. The Philly fans actually gave Trey Turner a standing ovation because he sucked so bad. We all wanted him to do good, so we gave him a standing ovation. All right, I'm a Phillies fan, so I'll count myself into this. I probably myself would not give him a stand ovation because I'm not that kind of guy. Either you play good and I salute you for it, or you suck and I don't want you on my team. I digress. Trey Turner finally gets a big hit, gets a 3-run home run to start off his hitting streak and actually become good again, right? Because that's what he was supposed to be, because that's why we signed him. Nick Castellanos, right? You got Trey Turner, Nick Castellanos, Bryce Harper, Alec Bohm, and Kyle Schwarber. These are big hitters. These are players that other teams fucking drool over getting. And they can't do shit they cannot do shit for us in the playoffs. Mind you, this year so far in the playoffs, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, Bryce Harper, not a single home run yet. Not a single point on the board. Not a single RBI to score a run. Now, Bryce Harper in the first game got an RBI, but I digress. That's not the point. Brian Bader, who? Brian Bader? Yeah, that's the guy that got you 2 home runs in the first game against the Dodgers, and you still lost. The pitchers starting pitching, Jesus Luzardo pitched his ass off, right? You had Christopher Sanchez in game 1, pitched his ass off. The bullpen fucked it up with you with Matt Strom and Ryan Kirkring. And for some odd, crazy reason, Rob Thompson, as the moron fucking coach that he was in that game yesterday, decided to bunt to tie the game. Well, hey, how about we try and fucking win the game, dipshit? Anyway, 2023 starts off with a complete bang, and what I mean by bang is bang in your pants like fucking diarrhea. Yeah, we were shit. We got our shit together toward the end of the year, but throughout the year, we couldn't beat the Mets, right? We got swept by one of the Mets in the Kilton series. But we were teetering between up and above and below 500. But we were able to find our way in a first place wild card spot as Kyle Schwarber heats up and the whole team heats up. 2023 seemed like that year where the Phillies fan base was completely in cahoots and completely on board with the Phillies. So we get into the World Series, or we get into the playoffs. We beat out the Marlins, as we should, because they suck. We beat out the Braves in a gentleman's sweep. They took 1 game against us, but we beat them in all the rest. And then we go up against the Diamondbacks. We win the first 2 games at home, as we should, because we got the most electrifying fan base in baseball. I'm just saying, bitch. Come to Philly and find out. Then we go in to Arizona. We get beaten game 3, and let me tell you something. Game 4, I don't know if it was the Philadelphia Phillies wearing the gear, or if it was Phillies fans who are allowed to dress up in Phillies gear and play on that field, who couldn't play a fucking lick of baseball. Because let me tell you something, we might as well have been playing with invisible fucking bats, because nobody did anything. It was a gut punch like no other. The offense was so quiet that not even a fucking mouse would be quiet. Like, not a creature was stirring, not even the mouse, but except for the Phillies offense, right? The Phillies offense was so quiet you could hear a pin drop in the crowd, okay? They were not existent. And to a lot of Negadelphians out there, and you know who I'm talking to, that was the series. That was the end of the series right there. And the Game 4 told you everything you need to know about the rest of the Diamondbacks series. We were losing to an 84 overall winning team of the Diamondbacks. Not a good whatsoever. Now, with that said, we won Game 5, and all we had to do is win one of the last 2 games that we had facing the Diamondbacks at home. Game 6 or Game 7. Could we do it? Nope, of course, because the offense went so quiet, and all the players on the field, Bryce Harper, Trey Turner, Alec Bohm, Nick Castellanos, right, Kyle Schwarber, they were all choking their bats like they were choking their chickens. But I digress. So we lose in 2023, 2024 comes around, and we absolutely just completely dominate. From April onward all the way to June. Now, we are one of the most dominant teams in baseball, as we're like, I don't know, 90 games, 80 games over 500. We are well above 500. We're so high above 500, we make the moon look fucking jealous. Okay? Now, when it comes to the All-Star break, and after the All-Star break, we completely turned into a different team. We completely did a 180. Now we're the opposite. We lost 6 straight series in a row, and we look like absolute dog shit. We look like bitch made from the Philadelphia Phillies. The Phillies went in, got a sex change, came out as a girl. Okay? Yeah, I'm going to be offensive because I'm a Phillies fan. What do you expect from me? Now, when it comes to the Phillies absolutely shitting themselves inside and out their pants, we lost 6 straight series. Then we somewhat came back. We eventually won up to 95 games, which gave us the Eastern Division champions, and we celebrated like a bunch of clowns. And then we get into the NLDS against the Mets. Now, mind you, this is the first ever game against the Mets in playoff history since the Mets were created in the early 1960s. This is the first ever series, the NLDS series, between the Phillies and the motherfucking Mets. The Phillies had had all the opportunity in the world to be on the good side of history, and they completely get bitch made against the Mets. They get absolutely just destroyed. They get prison bitched. They get raped, and they get destroyed. Right? 3 games to 1. They get dominated. Not even the game that you won on Sunday, the game after game 1, the game 2. Not even that game did you look dominant in. You were up 6-1, and then you let them come back, and they let you take the tie. It was 6-6. And then Nick Castellanos was able to walk off the game for you to 7-6 victory in the 10th inning. And now this year, I hardly even watched any games, I'll be honest with you. This year looked too much of the same. It looked like 2023. It looked like the same typical fucking Phillies quiet-ass offense. Either your offense does good and your bullpen shits itself, or your offense sucks dicks and your starting pitching does really good, and then the bullpen does really good, but then something happens defensively and somebody winds up dropping the ball. Trey Turner. Anyway, we get to the NLDS finally this year. We're just going to skip because it's like a wake me up in October kind of moment. Similar to the 76ers, our Philadelphia basketball team, wake me up during the playoffs. Hey, we didn't even fucking sniff the playoffs this year, okay? You said the doc, we got rid of a doc because we lost our patients, so we hired a nurse. Yeah, the nurse put us in the fucking morgue, okay? Not even a spot in the playoffs. We tanked to get 3rd draft pick. Holy shit, what is up with the Phillies teams? Anyway, we're in the NLDS against the Dodgers, and we're down 2 games, and the offense looks quieter than ever. The big 3, Kyle Schwarber, big 3, big for nothing. Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner, and Bryce Harper. No show. Well, Bryce Harper gets an RBI, but it doesn't give you points on the board. So, like I said, the only person to really put points on the board for you are your jobbers. Your Brian Baders, your Bryson Stotts, right? Those are the people that are able to put points on the board for you. Nick Castellanos in game 2. He's the only one with the big balls here. And that's saying something. Barely he has the showing up mentality. This entire team looks like shit. And did I forget to mention Matt Strahm blowing it again in game 1? And then Rob Thompson in game 2 putting in a Ryan Kirkring? And kind of like, I don't know, blatantly lying to the fan base saying that Ranger Suarez was ready? Get the fuck out of here. At this point, we got to start firing people and we got to shake things up. My love-hate for the relationship for the Philadelphia Phillies. The Philadelphia Phillies are a spit in the face to the Philly fan base. Okay, you could say similar things about the Flyers and the Sixers, but at least you know that they're big losers. At least you know that. A couple of years back, you didn't know the Sixers were big losers either because they were fraudulent losers. But they proved time and time again that they can't get the job done. Similar to the Flyers, but the Flyers are just an old, decrepit team that need to find a way to get themselves better. And find a fucking goalie for God's sakes. If you're a Flyers fan, you get what I'm saying. As far as the Eagles, last year it was just a communication breakdown and it was a toxic relationship. They had their breakup, but then they got back together and they won the fucking Super Bowl. That's what happens when you're a winning team. Phillies. Why don't you take notes? So, the same thing is happening this year. Last year, we absolutely got fucked by the Mets, and we decided to run shit back. Oh, I wonder how that worked out for you, Dave. Dave Dombrowski, our president-manager, barely did anything in the fucking trade deadline this year, right? Got Brian Bader, who managed to do pretty well, but I'll tell you right now, Philadelphia Phillies look like the same team that they were last year. Bitch made and 10 times over. All I can say is they're more of a spit in the face to us than any of the other teams, because at least the other teams are big losers. They're not fraudulent. This Phillies team is fraudulent. This Phillies team is arrogant, right? And when the pressure gets big and their bridges get too big, they lose their balls just like they lose their guts. What happens when you got no guts? No glory. That's all I got for you, man. I don't care if they win tonight's game, if they happen to or not, whether you watch this video tonight or tomorrow. I just know that we're not beating LA, and that's all there is to it. Call me Negadelphian all you want. If you think I'm a Negadelphian, either A, you have not watched this team, or B, you're just a fucking idiot. You have not watched the Phillies team for the past 4 years. You do not know what the people who root for the Phillies have gone through. Otherwise, if you like what you saw, give it a like, comment down below what you think, subscribe to my channel, ring my bell to be notified, and share the video with your friends if you got a bunch of Phillies fans out there. Otherwise, go Birds. Later.